This video is to explain the difference between the employee model and the subcontractor model here at iClean. It was relevant as at June 2020. So if there are significant changes to any of the employment conditions, we'll certainly upgrade this video. So let's go through both the employee model and the subcontractor model. Now, the employee model, normally people can either insist on an employee, or it tends to apply if the client is asking the cleaner to start at a specific time. So let's say the cleaner or the client, beg your pardon, the client asks for two cleaners to start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because he wants to talk to them or discuss things with them before he goes home. In that case, the employee model would be the better model. Because they know they've got a specific starting time and a specific finishing time. Subcontractors are more applicable when there is no specific start or finish time, because you really can't tell a subcontractor to start at a specific time. The fact that they're subcontractors means they're there to deliver a service, and they do it when it's convenient for them to do it. But let's go through the employee model first. So at the moment, because the cleaner is being asked to come in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and finish at 7 o'clock, he's on the evening rate under the Modern Award 22. So it's important that you are familiar with this award. You can find it on the Fair Work site. And the cleaning award is the Modern Award 22. Now, under that award, evening cleaners are paid, as you can see here, $27.07. Now, an evening cleaner is not one that starts at 6 o'clock. It is a cleaner who finishes after 6 o'clock at night. So if a cleaner starts at 4 o'clock, although the first 2 hours from 4 o'clock till 6 o'clock are day shift, because he's finishing at 7, the entire shift is applicable to the evening rate. So he's getting paid, he or she is getting paid $27.07 an hour. So it's very critical to understand that if a cleaner finishes after 6 o'clock at night, they must be on that evening rate of $27.07. So in this case, the client, we're doing 6 hours a night, we're doing 30 hours a week. So essentially, because the client is closed for 2 weeks of the year over Christmas, we're doing 1,500 hours a year. Now, the direct labour costs is simply that those total hours multiplied by 2707, which gives you this number of 40,605. Now, in addition to that direct labour, there's obviously ongoing labour costs. So carers leave, long service leave, holiday leave, that also has to be added to that. Now, they normally make up another 11% on top of the direct wages. Also, superannuation. Superannuation is payable on both the on costs and the direct labour costs. So the superannuation in this case is applicable on around $45,000, which is that amount there. In Victoria, we need to pay payroll tax of 4.85%. So that again is that amount there. And then there is also a WorkSafe. Fair, and obviously a public liability insurance as well. So you can see here the total cost for labour, both direct and indirect, is around nearly 53,000. So it's another 30% on top of the direct labour cost. So there's a good way to actually calculate it. On top of that, we've also got equipment and depreciation expenses, chemicals, if we need to provide all this for the cleaner. There's uniforms and there's overheads for things like the QR codes, Ops Central. All those are costs involved in getting the cleaner on site doing the job. If we allow a 10% margin, in a case like this, which is what I would be doing, I'll be doing 8 to 10% if I was putting a tender together, then we are looking at a total cost to the client of around $60,000 a year. So essentially for 6 hours a night, you're looking at $60,000. So essentially you could say it's $1,000 per hour for the whole year. That's a rough way of working it out. So that'll quickly tell you what the total contract value is. And you can see on that basis, we're looking at a charge out rate of, let's call it $40 an hour. Okay, so that's what we should be charging a client minimum. Obviously, if we want to make this 20% profit, then we're looking at 43 an hour. Okay, or even 30%. Let's have a look at 30%. You're talking about $46 an hour. Okay, so it really depends here on this profit margin. But let's say we're in a tender situation and we're working at 10%. So $40 an hour is the charge out rate. Now that's the employee model. The subcontractor model, obviously, is a little bit different. So in the subcontractor model, we're paying the subcontractor. We're really working reverse. We're saying, look, we will pay you $45,000 to do this contract, okay? And we will pay you every 2 weeks. We will pay you $1,800 every fortnight to do the contract. We're not saying that you have to do 3 hours a day, but we recommend that for you, in order to do the job properly, we'd be looking at you doing in a minimum of about 6 hours. If there's 2 of you, you've got to be doing around 5 to 6 hours a day, okay? Again, we aren't clock watching here. We are service watching, all right? If the client can, I beg your pardon, if the cleaner can do it in less than 6 hours a day, great. But we want to make sure when we go out and do an audit that audit is well over 90% and that there's no issues from the client. So in this case, we're paying the subcontractor $45,000. Unless the client is an independent company and is paying the superannuation on behalf of their cleaners, we need to pay the superannuation. So that would apply in cases where you've got a husband and wife team and there's just the 2 of them. We need to pay their superannuation. So that's added on top. And again, the profit margin, let's say we're looking at 16% in the case of a subcontractor. We're then looking at a total price of around $57,000. So the charge out rate here is $38 per hour. Okay. So again, if we're looking at 10% margin, we're looking at $36 an hour. If we're looking at 30% margin, we're looking at $42, $43 an hour. Okay. But let's just stick to that 16 for the time being. At 16%, you're looking at $38 as a charge out. So $38 essentially is basically the right amount for the subcontractor. Obviously, if we can pay the subcontractor around $28, which is really what we'd be paying from July 2020, we are looking at a charge out rate of $35 to $38 roughly. So that's how we come up with our charge out rates. Okay. This amount here should be at least the same as than this amount here, okay, what we're paying as an employee, okay? So let's work on $28 an hour going into the rest of 2020. So that essentially is the employee and subcontractor model. There's going to be a quiz at the end of this video, so if you need to watch it again, answer the quizzes, and then sign off on the policy.